It's silicone day! Woo! Yeah, today we're talking about silicones and how to choose them, because you've maybe done resin projects before and you've mixed up resin, you've poured it on a tumbler or a surface, and you've maybe bought molds in order to use them for resin casting. But here's the thing, making your own molds is really easy. You just have to choose the right silicone. So today, I'm gonna walk you through how to choose the right silicone for your project. Here's the thing, when I first started using silicones, I found myself on 10 different websites, looking up terminology, sorting through a million products, trying to figure out which one I should use. And eventually I was just on forum after forum after forum, losing my mind. So in an effort to not have you go through the same headache that I went through, we've created a really simple decision tree that's gonna help you choose the right silicone for your project. A note as well. If you're pretty familiar with silicones and you kind of know all the terminology, stop watching this video right now, go to the website with the link in the description, and just go read the chart yourself. You'll be fine, you'll be able to figure it out. But if you're new here and you want to make sure you understand everything completely, stick with me, I'll take you through it. When I say this is going to be easy, I mean it's like really easy. But we do have to align on 3 terms that'll make sure that we have shared language for the rest of this video. Platinum versus tin cure, that's a type of silicone. Shore hardness, that's how stiff the actual silicone is. And then also cure inhibition, that's something that makes it so it never actually cures. Those 3 terms, going through them real quick, will help us make sure we're making a good call. All right, the first thing we need to talk about is the type of silicones. And there's really 2 types mostly out there in the marketplace. Tin cure silicones and platinum cure silicones. We'll talk about the difference between each when we're in the actual flow chart, but for now, just realize they're 2 different types with 2 different uses. The second term we gotta talk about is what's called shore hardness. And shore hardness is actually, and you got this one, I believe this from jump, it's a measure of hardness. The shore scale is actually how we measure out how hard something is. Silicones predominantly are on what's called the shore A scale. So you're gonna see an A next to a number. That number goes from 0 to 100, with the lower numbers being really flexible and the higher numbers being really rigid and stiff. The third thing we gotta talk about is what's called cure inhibition. Cure inhibition is really simple. It just refers to something in your master, that's the part you're making a mold of, that inhibits the silicone from fully curing. It could be the material itself, it could be the glue that you use to put 2 pieces together. Whatever it is, it's gonna cause your silicone to never cure. We're gonna avoid this, and I'll show you how in the decision tree. All right, enough shared terminology. I think we all get it, okay? We're all aligned. I think it's time for us to start walking through this decision tree. But before we jump in there, if you like this video, go ahead and like this video, right? Hit that little thumb in the bottom corner over there for me. And if you wanna see more content like this, we have a ton of content like this. Go subscribe, I'll keep putting more out there. All right, let's start at the very top because that's where you have to start with a decision tree like this. The first question is really simple. Is the part you're making a mold of 3D printed, made of clay, contains vinyl? Does it have any crazy glue, CA glue, cyanoacrylate? I always get that word wrong. If it's got any of that stuff in it, yes, then we're gonna go over to the right side of the chart. If you don't know, trust me, go over to the right side. You'll thank me for that later. And if it doesn't, well, then we're gonna continue down the left side. Let's say you think it does or you're not sure. So we're going over to the right. All right, our next question, does your master have a lot of undercuts or difficult to reach areas? None, some, a lot, those are our 3 choices here. What do I mean by undercuts and difficult to reach areas? Well, let me grab this kitty. Meow. So this is the cat where we're gonna try to make a mold of. Now, if we're making a mold of this cat, we're gonna make a box, we're gonna build the walls, we're gonna pour the silicone over on top of it, and we're gonna end up with a mold that looks like this with the actual negative of the cat in there. Well, that's great. We're done. Well, not quite. Look at this cat's neck. It's upside down inside this mold now because we've actually poured our silicone. But look at this, this is basically a hook. It's gonna be so difficult to get this cat out of this mold because it's actually hooking itself to the silicone. This is what we mean by an undercut. One that's this aggressive is gonna take a lot of manipulation in order to get out of the mold. You can have other materials that have little indents like this skull here. The eyes go in a little bit, but it's not that deep. It's not hard to actually pull the silicone around that. So if you have something like the cat with a lot of undercuts, we're going to definitely want to go down to the High Strength 3. If you just have some, High Strength 2 is a great option. And if you don't have any, let's say like this glass right here with no undercuts, High Strength 1 will do the trick. High Strengths 1, 2, and 3 are named 1, 2, and 3 because number 1 is the champion. It's the strongest. It's the most stiff. Number 2 is a little softer, and number 3 is even softer. So for something like this cat, which we know is going to be upside down in the mold, we want the softest silicone possible so we can really flex it around. When I made this cat mold a long time ago, I didn't have any High Strength 3 on hand, and I was bummed out. What I had to do in order to get this out is I actually had to cut my mold. That's how aggressive that undercut is. Using the right silicone means you don't have to end up compromising your mold to get a good casting. Look at that. I mean, honestly, for a lot of you, that's the end of the decision tree, and you'll get great results from that. But those are just 3 silicone options, and we have a ton of other silicones, a lot of which are platinum cure. So let's go all the way back to the beginning to that cure inhibition question. And let's say you're pretty confident, you're very confident actually, that there's none of that stuff within your master. Well, all right, the answer is no. Let's keep going down the left side. The next question we run into is, do you need this mold to be FDA compliant? Or food safe is kind of how we think about that. Now, if the answer is yes, then we're definitely in the platinum silicone realm and we'll jump down this chart. But if the answer is no, then all right, let's have another question. Do you need this mold to be transparent or a certain color? Sometimes if you're using a transparent mold, you can actually see into the mold when you're pouring. This is really helpful for filling up a mold or a cavity that has inclusions and things like that. Other times you might want to color your molds, something that is the same material, but you might want to make it blue. Maybe it's for a client, maybe you want to sell it, or maybe it's just a great way to keep your molds organized around your shop. Either way, we're going to use our platinum cure silicones because there are translucent ones. If you need your mold to be a certain color, well, that's harder with our high strengths because it's already dyed a beautiful pink. So you can't really use color in those. If you need color in your mold, we're going to go with the platinum cure. Now let's say you don't really need the color in the mold. You're good to go with whatever color it is. Fine. Let's say no. Let's keep going down that list. The next question is, do you have a measuring preference by weight? This is where 10-to-1 and 1-to-1 measuring comes into play. For a lot of the high strengths and other tin-cure silicones, they're measured out in a 10-to-1 formulation. That means 1 part of catalyst for every 10 parts of the base rubber. With platinum cure silicones, it's usually a 2 rubber kind of side, so you can do 1 part A and 1 part B, combine them, and you're good to go. Here's the thing, this is like pure preference. I mean, like preference of preference's sake. I prefer 1-to-1. Seriously, like don't overthink this one. If you want the 10-to-1 mix ratio, well then you gotta go back over to the tin-cure silicones. But if you're cool with a 1-to-1, let's keep going down towards the different platinum options. The first one we gotta know is, will your mold be a multi-part mold? 2, 3, 4-part molds. Now for some of you, this is like brand new territory and you have no idea why we would even do a 2-part mold. Well, let me grab 2 objects here. This glass tray has a flat bottom, not a lot of undercuts, and is really easy. So when we make a mold box around it, we can literally just glue it to the bottom, pour the silicone on top, and come up with a simple mold. This has a flat bottom too, so when we pop this out of the mold, it looks exactly like that, and we're good to go. The thing is, with a different object, let's say this wrench, well, it looks like it has a flat bottom. It actually doesn't. This curves back up. This is actually curved here too. There's complexity to this shape. In order to accomplish a beautiful casting of this in mold making, we're gonna need a 2-part mold. 1 half to cover this detail on this side, and another half to pick up all the detail on the other. On top of the 2 halves, there's also a circle in the middle of this. If you have a 1-part mold, you're gonna lock this in. You can't even get it out because there's gonna be silicone in between. You're gonna need a 2-part mold in complex projects like this. All right, let's say you answered yes to that question and you're headed to 2-part mold territory. Great. We just have one more question we gotta answer before we lock in the silicone choice. That is, do you need maximum dimensional stability? Look at this wrench, it's 18 millimeters. In order for this to be useful, we need a very accurate reproduction of this part. That means maximum dimensional stability in the mold. Another example that we see all the time is in automotive, things like headlights and things like that. This choice here, Plat 55, if you answer yes to this question, you're gonna use this silicone. It's great for reproducing really complex parts that have interlocking parts and different connection points that you might have to affix to a different object. In automotive applications, let's say, we often recommend people use Plat 55 because of its dimensional stability. Let's say a headlight like this mold here has to lock into another existing part on a car, and it needs to be exact. I mean, like exact, almost OEM factory exact. Plat 55, if you answer yes to that question, is definitely going to be your choice. Now, Plat 55 is our choice because it's a 55, I know, big leap, but it's a 55A on the Shore A scale. And if you remember, that's further up, which means it's pretty stiff. Other silicones, if you don't need the maximum dimensional stability, would be our Plat 40. Our Plat 40 is still very stiff, but it's not as stiff as our 55. As an example, here's me bending the 55, and here's me bending the 40. They're kind of close, but there's a definite difference. And believe it or not, in certain aspects, in certain applications, that difference really matters. Seriously, we're almost done. I mean, you've hung with me this entire time. Thank you, by the way. I'm glad you're going on this journey with me. But there's another route. Let's say you don't need the maximum dimensional stability. You're not doing car parts here, right? You're not replicating wrenches and doing rapid prototyping at some company. You're just having a good time doing really cool crafts, like meow, 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 this kitty cat. Oh, I shouldn't have meowed. You know, I shouldn't have meowed. I mean, come on. Hey, I know I'm not the only one that meows, okay?
The inner child can't resist when you see a cat. You're just like, meow.
Oh, we're all dorks, folks. All right, to get to our last options, we got to go back to the question of, do you need a multi-part mold? And a lot of you are not going to need that, which is awesome. I love one-piece molds. They're so much faster, trust me. So let's say you answered no to that question. Well, where are we headed next? What's our next question? Does your part have a lot of undercuts or difficult to reach areas? Hey, that's almost the exact same question from the high strengths that we talked about over there, because it's another factor to consider. Just like before, a hook like that's going to need a lot more flexibility than something simple like that glass tray I had before. If you have a lot of undercuts and you need that maximum flexibility, we're going to recommend Plat 10. It's a 10 on the Shore A scale, which if you think about 55, 10's pretty much all the way over here. I've got Plat 10 right here. If you remember that 55, it's barely holding on as I'm holding it right now. I can bend this thing all the way through. It's pretty great. Ball it up like this, and it just goes right back to where it was before. All right, we are at the end. This is the last question to make your final decision. You did it. I'm so proud of you. If you're still with me, it means you're going to use one of these two silicones realistically. So the question is, are you okay with a shorter open time in order to have a faster demold time? If you're okay with a shorter open time, then you get to use our new amazing mold maker, which is a platinum cured silicone that's actually red that cures in only 25 minutes. You do only have an 8-minute open time to work with, so you have to be kind of comfortable or at least prepared in order to use it. If you really want the extra time and you don't want that stress, then you're going to use Plat 25, a 25A on the Shore scale, almost exactly like this amazing mold maker, and get your project done with a little bit longer of a time period. But for me, I just love going fast. I don't care if I'm in a car or if I'm making molds, I'm hitting the gas. That is it. You are done. We are through the decision tree. You know what you're doing. And here's the thing. If you ever get confused again, or if you have a different project, if you're not doing map now and you're doing a skull instead, well then go back through this decision tree, right? And answer all the questions. You'll get the right silicone every time, and you'll have a successful project every time. If you like this video, please like this video. And if you want to see more, then subscribe. We're going to continue to put out videos like this to always be as helpful to you as we possibly can. Till next time.